evening, City Council. Mayor Burcroft, Attorney Hitchcock, Deputy Clerk, and audience. This is the City of Romulus City Council meeting for Monday, the first meeting of the year, January 6, 2020. Happy New Year, everyone. Madam Chair, roll call was taken during our special meeting, and we have a quorum for this meeting. So if we can, we'll proceed. Tonight's regular council meeting agenda is as follows. Number 1, agenda. Number 2, minutes. Number 3, petitioner. Number 4, chairperson's report. Number 5 is the mayor's report. 6, clerk's report. 7, treasurer's report. 8, boards and commissions report. 9 is public comment. 10 is unfinished business. 11 is new business. 12 is communication, and number 13 is adjournment. And a motion will be in order to accept the regular council meeting agenda as presented.
So moved to accept the regular council meeting as presented.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Abdo, supported by Ms. Roscoe for the approval of the agenda. Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Agenda approved.
Number 2, for approval are the minutes from the regular meeting held on December 23rd, 2019.
So move for December 23rd, 2019.
Support.
It's been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Abdo for the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting on December 23rd. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion approved.
There are no petitioners on the agenda this evening. Number 4 is the chairperson's report, and tonight we will receive our chairperson's report from none other than Councilwoman Tina
I
Talley.
will take it, so I can do it now instead on the communications. Good evening, everybody. Just want to say Happy New Year to everybody, and not only Happy New Year, but Happy New Decade. We're in the new decade now. I'm excited about amazing things to happen in this new year and this new decade, so I hope you feel the same way too. And with that being said, my message all last year when I spoke was just kindness. That was just the big thing, just kindness. And you feel it so much around the Christmas season. It's just an air about peace on earth and goodwill towards men. And my prayer has always been that we keep kindness going, not just during the Christmas season, but all year long. So I pray that we can strive to do that daily, just to be kind. And on that note, I just want to say one quick thing. I just want to say I got a chance to tour our 34th District Court. What a beautiful building, what a beautiful court. They are offering tours. If anybody would like to have a tour of the court, you just have to set it up through Al Hinman at the court. If you want to see our beautiful 34th District Court, it's a beautiful building, and I do recommend that you see it. And also, we did have a special closed session meeting, an attorney opinion today at 7:15. And then I think that's all I have for the chairperson's report.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to accept your report.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Abdo, to accept the chairperson's report. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion approved.
5 is the mayor's report.
Good evening, City Council, Clerk, Deputy Clerk, and audience. No quote tonight. I just wanted to say Happy New Year to our electeds and to our residents, and looking forward to an awesome 2020. This is also our 50th anniversary as a city. So as the seal has on there, May 7th of 1970 was the official day. And so we'll be doing some things throughout the year to kind of celebrate that, but it's a milestone for us. So congratulations to all those who helped make the city a great place that it is today. We have a short video, and I'll get into my action items. No video? Okay, we'll keep it even shorter. Thank you, Raj. I do have a couple action items that are before you, so we'll get into those. First up before you is a recommendation from Kathy Hood, our Assistant DPW Director, and Gary Harris, Purchasing Director. And that request is to concur the administration award ITB bid 19/20-08 to the most responsive and responsible bidder, Volk Manufacturing Company, for the guaranteed 3 months fixed pricing underbody scraper blades for the city's DPW. The amount is $27,744. Those funds have been verified and budgeted for.
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion for ITB 19/20-08 for the heat-treated underbody scraper blades.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Webb, to accept the bid for the heat-treated underbody scraper blades. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. The next action item is a recommendation from Kathy Hood, also Assistant DPW Director, and it's to concur the administration, authorize the DPW to dispose and auction one HP Design Jet large format printer and scanner copier with the proceeds from the equipment to be placed in the water sewer machinery and equipment fund.
Through the chair, if I may,
Ms. Webb?
I'd like to make that motion to concur with the administration and authorize the DPW to dispose and auction off the HP Designer large format printer, scanner,
Support.
and copier.
Support.
All right, it's been motioned by Ms. Webb, supported by Mr. Wadsworth, for the dispose, to concur with the administration and authorize DPW to dispose and auction off the HP Design Jet large format printer, scanner, copier. Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. The next item action are some reappointments. This is a request to concur the administration and approve the reappointment of Daniel McAnally and James Crova to the City of Romulus Planning Commission with a 3-year term. The term will expire January 31st, 2023.
Through the chair, if I may,
Ms. Webb?
I'd like to table this motion until the following, I believe it's the 13th, the next meeting. Their terms do not expire until the 31st of this month, so if there is a problem, they are still on the Planning Commission, and I believe their next meeting may be around the second week of February. I would just like, if my colleagues want, I would like to table this without any further discussion.
Is that a motion?
Is that a motion? She asked.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'd like to make the motion to table this item until the next council meeting. Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Webb, supported by Ms. Williams, to table this reappointments to the next meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
No.
Ms. Roscoe?
No.
Chair votes no.
Motion failed.
Failed.
Motion
Motion
failed.
fails because it's tied.
On that note, I'll make a motion to concur with the administration and approve the reappointment of Daniel McAnally and James Crova to the City of Romulus Planning Commission with a 3-year term to expire on January 31st, 2023.
Support.
Been supported by motion by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Mr. Wadsworth, to concur with administration and approve the reappointment of Daniel McAnally. Are we doing both of them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim Crover to the City of Romulus Planning Commission with a 3-year term to expire on January 31st, 2023. Any discussion?
Yes, I didn't want to discuss, but yes, I will discuss now that you asked. The only reason why I wanted to table this motion is because we tend to be voting in bulk, per se. I asked the administration to separate these votes, one vote for Mr. Crova, one motion, and then a motion for Mr. McAnally. But they did not see fit to do that, so that's why I wanted to move it to give them a chance for each one of those members to have their own, whether it's unanimous vote or whatever, so that they can see that, they're voted on.
Can we separate them now? Can we do
Not
it now?
now. Not now. You just voted my motion down.
Madam Chair, you have a motion on the floor, so
Okay.
you would have to withdraw that motion or take action, move, roll call vote, or. So the motion is on the floor.
Okay,
So you have to.
for the
move.
reappointment. Okay, Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Abstain.
Chair votes yes. Motion approved.
All right, thank you, council. The next item is a introduction for budget amendment. What you have before you is a request to concur with administration, introduce budget amendment 19/20-12, and that's for the 2020 sidewalk program design work for Van Born Road. The amounts listed in the memo.
So moved, Madam Chairman, for the introduction of budget amendment 19/2-12.
It's been supported by Mr. Wadsworth, motion by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Roscoe, for the concur with the administration and introduce budget amendment 19/20-12 for the 2020 sidewalk program design work for Van Born Road. Any discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes. I noticed that it says contributions from developer. Who is the developers that's giving this funds for this?
Good evening, council. There's not a developer per se attached to this project. The funding that's gonna be used is developers that pay in lieu of sidewalks. So in other words, we have a sidewalk fund, and when a development comes in, if a developer chooses not to build a sidewalk somewhere throughout the city, they place funding inside of an account that'll be utilized for sidewalk replacement, either in front of their place or elsewhere throughout the city.
Okay, so when did this fund become available? Because I was always told we didn't have a sidewalk fund.
I'm not entirely sure. This is probably a decade.
Yeah, before me, I know.
Yeah.
And also, you're looking at, what is it, Washington to 4th Street?
Yeah, so Van Born between Washington and 4th Street. There's a commercial development to the west on Wayne Road. There's the Happy's Pizza, there's the gas station, the auto parts, and we have the apartment complex over at 4th Street. There's a lot of traffic back and forth there, and there's kind of a, sometimes we get complaints of people in the roadway walking in the wintertime when there's snow, and we just are looking at those gaps saying, let's fill them in and provide a safe pathway for pedestrians.
Roberto, for the last 10 years, I've been complaining about the same issue down Wayne Road.
Yeah.
So why would we focus on Van Born? Because you mentioned Happy Pizza. Happy Pizza is across the street,
Yeah.
which is in the city of Wayne. You have from Wick, partial of it, because in
Yeah.
front of the stores and the townhouses there, sidewalks. But you have from Wick pretty much all the way to Van Born till we enter into Wayne, no sidewalks.
Yeah,
And you're
we-
talking about cow paths.
we-
It's the same thing, it's weighing
Right,
it down.
absolutely, absolutely.
And the folks are in the street all the time at the edge of the road.
Yeah, I wish we had more money. We looked at like 7 or 8 corridors throughout the city, E-Course, Eureka, Merriman, Van Born, Wayne Road. Wayne Road is probably one of the costlier of the sidewalk construction from Witt to Van Born. It's about $1 million. We definitely don't have the funding for that, but what we did was we had a rock internally under the mayor's direction to look at the sidewalk system throughout the city. And in conjunction with the city's master plan of sidewalks, we looked at all those corridors that were missing, and we had some estimates generated. That included Wayne Road. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to fill in those gaps with the funding that we have, and we're gonna try to look at grant funding for those other areas. So like the Wayne Road, that'll be part of a future grant that we'll submit as soon as funding is available. Now, it seems that SEMCOG and MDOT go every 6 months with a call for projects, so we're hoping to have those pieces submitted for those grant funds.
So there's no money, because I noticed with Wayne County, and Wayne Road is a Wayne County road.
Yep.
Am I correct?
Yep.
So with Wayne County, I noticed in the city of Inkster, Westland, Wayne, they're doing all kind of, restructuring of the road, sidewalks. Why is it that we can't get any funding or help from Wayne County or even the state to put sidewalks down Wayne Road? Wayne Road is one of our main roads. And to skip over Wayne Road and go over to Van Born, I can't see it.
Madam Chairman, can I address that also, if we
Please,
could?
Mr. Mayor.
So, on this one, mark your calendar. I agree with you on this. Wayne Road needs a sidewalk. So we toured the whole city. There are areas very clearly where there's walking paths, right? I mean, you can see where they are. So what we're trying to do is identify those, get a priority, and work on them in conjunction with road work, with grant dollars. So what we're trying to do is hit as many priorities this year, and then we hope to come back next year with some others as well. Some of the TAP grants that we're looking at will hit some walking paths that maybe aren't residential, but they're dangerous for people that are coming into our community. So you're going to see a series of offerings that we're going to try to bring back with some of those. I wish we had money to do every one of them, but we're going to set priorities, and that's what Roberto did, and we agree with it. And we're going to try to do as many areas as we can where there are a demand for walking traffic. So some of it ties into road work. If you remember Eureka Road between Middle Belt and Inkster, that was federally funded. So they actually it was required to put sidewalks on both sides. We were trying to get the county and the federal dollars to be utilized in other areas in that same region, and we were unsuccessful because it was federally funded. Some of it depends on where the funding comes from. Obviously, if it's federally funded and they say do this road project and we're going to help give you X dollars, we do have to follow their guidelines. But we hope to come back with more. I wish we had more dollars to do that, but I think what Roberto's done is set a good priority, and you're going to see an impact in some areas that are very much needed.
Madam Chairman,
Yeah,
if I
Mr. Wadsworth.
can, somebody asked, when did this come about? It came about 1988, 89, because Mary Ann Banks, when she was mayor pro tem, she had a thing for developers not putting sidewalks in. And the only time that money gets put into this account, actually, it was Mayor McAnally and Mary Ann Banks that got together along with the council, and we made this fund, but only when a developer builds is there money put into this account.
Correct.
Correct. If he chooses, if he
But eventually,
develops-
when the whole thing gets built, then the money's supposed to be taken out and the sidewalk is put in.
No.
No, so
Okay, I'm looking.
the city is like, once a developer puts in funding for the sidewalk, but in other words, if he doesn't build the walk while he builds his development,
Yeah, he
then
puts
he
money
has
in.
to pay money
Right.
into the fund. At some point in the future, if we require sidewalk in front of his parcel, then we have to pay for that sidewalk out of that funding.
Out of the funding. Oh, all right, fine. Thank you.
Thanks, Roberto.
Through the chair, if I may.
This way.
First of all, my concerns was WIC to E-course, all the way to Van Born. And once you have explained this, but I remember sitting on council, and it took 4 years after that when our current mayor got into office, and I'm sure you remember this. I went to you one evening after the council meeting and I whispered in your ear, would you please find us some funding for a sidewalk from Goddard up to the high school? It took 4 years, but you did it.
Yeah.
So I hope it doesn't take that long for sidewalks down down Wayne Road, because there are a lot of cow paths there. My only concern, and to contribute to this, as my colleague stated, it's more dangerous on Wayne Road. People have gotten hit, on bicycles and walking. But I know that you will find some money for the city. Now, for the residents at home, I just want them to realize these sidewalks will not be put in right away. This is money for professional design services, and the completion will not be until October the 15th, 2020. So I don't want anyone to think, oh, well, come April or May, spring, they'll start putting sidewalks in. This is for the service for OHM, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
The other thing, Madam Chairman, if I could mention that pertains to Wayne Road, and we bring this to you quite yet, but we're working on trying to get a redesign of Wayne and Ecorse intersection. So the Wayne and Ecorse intersection, as we all know, we got a traffic light, but there's been some work done in meetings with Wayne County. We think that we have them on board with doing a redesign of that would encompass some walkways in that area. So to let's try to tie that into that plan if we can. There's some funding that was left over from the Vining Road that was part of a TIFA project that legally it ties to TIFA because the traffic feeds that TIFA district. But we believe we'll be able to have a plan, hopefully back to you, that you'll see that probably wouldn't be construction till the following year, but we're trying to put the pieces together. There may have to be some land acquisition and some other things, so we don't want to, until we have the whole plan together, we'll bring it to you at that time. So that could impact a lot in the Wayne Road corridor as well, which very much needs to be done. That also encompasses some drainage that needs to be done in that area. Thank you.
I just want to make sure that we, city of Romulus, just like other cities are benefiting from the tax dollars from Wayne County, that we also don't keep getting overlooked, because as I said, Wayne Road is one of our main roads, and I see so many people walking down Wayne Road from Ecorse all the way to Van Born, and it's cow paths on both sides, but you get more traffic, more walking right there at the edge of Wayne Road where it curves around. And several folks have got actually hit because they actually walk on the street, because it's actually, when you get into that curve, it's actually nowhere to walk. And so please make sure that we don't keep overlooking Wayne Road. That is one of my great concerns, that we use the state, the federal government, and the county to make sure that they don't keep looking over some of our main roads in Romulus.
Absolutely.
And to that point, Madam Chairman, I would like to say that we don't overlook Wayne Road. If you look at, to Councilwoman Webb's point, we were able to pull off, and that was some federal dollars with both sidewalks and some lighting. Quite complicated because of signals through the interchange at I-94, but we definitely know that's a priority. A lot of people walk that way. We want to make sure we're trying to provide safe paths to walk or ride bikes and do it in a way that makes the best dollars and cents. And we'll definitely keep that on our radar, and we appreciate your feedback. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, any more discussion? Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, Council. That concludes my report.
Number 6 is the clerk's report. This is a request for a public hearing from our city assessor, Julie Albert, for January 13th, 2020, at 6:00 p.m. And this is for the purpose of a proposed special assessment district to remove and replace pedestrian street lighting on the west side of Wickham and Merriman, south to Wick.
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion for a public hearing on January 13th, 2020.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Abdo, supported by Ms. Webb, for a request for a public hearing for City Assessor Julie Albert for 1/13/2020 at 6 p.m. Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you. Madam Chair and Council, ask if you would, before I close out my report, ask if you would adopt a memorial resolution for Ronald Lee Nettle, and afterwards I'd just have a little bit of discussion, please.
So
So
moved.
move.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Webb, supported by Ms. Abdo for memorial resolution. Who is it
Yes,
for?
it's for Ronald Lee Nettle.
Ronald Lee Meadow. Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
If I may, Madam Chair. Mr. Nettle passed away December 10th of last year. He was married to Rose Nettle. Rose Nettle was an employee at Romulus Schools for a long time, and I had the pleasure of working with Rose. They were married 52 years. Mr. Nettle served in the U.S. Air Force. He loved classic cars, and just a great guy all around. He's going to be missed, And so I know his family would really appreciate having a resolution from council in honor of him.
When did he pass?
He passed December the 10th.
Oh, December 10th, gotcha. Any more discussion? Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Council, that concludes the clerk's report.
Madam Clerk, are you going to bring up the officers' compensation report that we have?
That is number 8.
Okay, okay, very good.
Treasurer's report.
Okay.
Said she was complete.
Number 7 is the treasurer's report. Our city treasurer's not here this evening, so now it takes us to agenda item number 8, which is boards and compensation report. And you have in your packet a memo from the chairperson of the Officers Compensation Board, Carol Bales, which explains, I don't know if you want me to read that or if you just want to have discussion.
We're gonna yield the floor to Mr. Wadsworth.
If I could, I've read the report, and I want to compliment the compensation board for what they do. But I'd like to make a motion that we reject the pay raises from the compensation board, and if somebody will support it, I'd like to expand on it.
Support with discussion.
It's been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Webb, to reject the officer compensation report. Discussion?
Okay, if I could, I looked at the report, and it appears to me on the 10th of December that they met and they did recommend a 2% raise, and that's fine and well. And this would have been my 36 years, and this would have been the 18th time that this has come in front of us. And in the past, we've accepted it most of the time, and there's been a couple of times that we didn't accept it. In fact, going back to 2010 or 11, when we had our shutdown, the elected officials all took a 5% pay cut. In fact, I'm still taking a 5% pay cut, and I believe that Mr. Burkhoff is still taking one, and Mrs. Roscoe is taking one also. But then, after the 10th, I see that the mayor pro tem sent a letter to the board and saying that they weren't, I guess that they didn't like the results of this. And, you know, it's ridiculous. It's, me, it is ridiculous. I mean, you know, this year, we've made the city workers pay more health care. We taxed the people for more police and fire, even though they wanted it, and that's fine. But then there's something in there about a $1,000 bonus. Well, you know, this body less than a month ago had a thing at the library where, in fact, I'm on that board, that the library director and the assistant library director, they were going to get a bonus in the middle of the year, which I voted against, and this council voted against it too. And it appalls me. I mean, they're supposed to meet. They make a recommendation. There's nothing in the charter or the ordinance that says that we have an appeal process here. We have one of two choices: either accept what they did or reject what they did. But, you know, I read some of the things in there. Oh, the council, they have to go to extra meetings. Come on, folks. We ran for this job. We knocked on nobody's front porch saying that we were going to ask for $1,000 extra in our pay. And I think it's ridiculous. And that's why I'm voting. You know, I possibly could have voted for the original one on the 10th of December because it made sense, but I'm voting no, and I've said my piece.
You know,
I have a question. In regards to the compensation, maybe I'm misreading this, but
Yeah.
I only see 2%. I do not see where they approved the $1,000.
I didn't say they did. I said they had a second meeting where this was this was brought up, that certain people felt that we should get $1,000 bonus plus the 2%. I didn't know.
I think that came from individual council people. That did not come from the council.
No, it did not.
compensation.
In
Did not
fact.
come from the
Okay, I thought I
compensation
was
board.
done, but let me add one more thing. They talk about, well, somebody is speaking for 5 council people. They weren't speaking for me. I'll tell you that, they weren't speaking for me. Go ahead, Celeste, I'm sorry.
Myself either, but the way, and, this is just the way I read the whole report, is where the $1,000 request did not come from the compensation board. The only thing that came from the compensation board was the 2%.
Correct.
And that there was individuals, not myself, but there was individuals who disagreed with that, and they wanted a $1,000 sort of say bonus because we did not, the council in part did not get a raise last time that this came around. That's the way I understood it. Please explain if that's not the way it was.
I'll be happy to address the
Please do,
Okay, so do
through the chair.
you got mine? Okay, Ms. Bell.
Yes, we did have 2 meetings. What we did was, we voted for 2% across the board. It was unanimous by the committee. We then received a communication from Mr. Barden asking for a second meeting, wherein there were several people that did address the commission, and they were asking for $1,000 plus a 2%, mainly because they felt slighted because the council had not been given a raise in 2017. So what the commission did was nothing. But it stands as a 2% across the board, no more than 2%. And we felt that we looked totally, fairly, and squarely at what was given to other employees, other bargaining units, and really, other bargaining units got a lot more if you take into consideration what you did with stipends. I understand that they're having to pay insurance, but I think we were more than fair in giving across the board 2%. And I'll be happy to answer any questions. We had a second meeting as a courtesy gesture. In the future, I'm gonna just ask that if anybody has a question about the compensation board, please come to our first meeting. Please call me as chairman, call any of us. We don't get together and talk, but call us and we will be willing to talk because we want your input. We really do want your input. And all we're trying to do is be fair and be fair to the taxpayers and the community and to you and to all of our elected officials. All of you work hard. You give a lot of time to our public. It's very much appreciated, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. And the commission, some of the commission is here tonight. Kathy's not here because she was something with her face, but put something on her face. But the other commissioners are here.
Could I say something, Madam Chairman, just because I did receive a call from a council person that was expressing after that meeting, I explained as the law is that this committee is set up for that by state law. Mayor doesn't have any authority over it. It's a committee that's appointed and you guys approve who's on that committee. They stagger the terms to try to keep it non-political. They request through the clerk, and she did provide them information that they were requested. When I heard from council that they were displeased with that, I referred them to the chairman, Mr. Barden. At least under my request was to talk to council. I said you council have your feelings. It's your job to communicate that on, not mine. And so that was done. I don't know what was reflected, what was said. I stayed totally out of it. I did offer that if the corporate council wanted to be part of drafting something, we'd be happy to support that. And then from that point, I stayed out of it. I do want to say this, though, about boards and commissions in general. There's a lot of people that are doing good work for the city with no pay that come out because they care about the city. This board, I've never asked them for anything. I've never told them what to do. They request the information. They do that in every community. That's the way it works by state law. We have a lot of people on other boards and commissions. What I don't want to see happen is pick apart people that are trying to do good work, that are volunteering, that are taking on a responsibility just because they care about our community and they want to do the right thing. They want to be fair. And I think that, you know, they do good work. I'm not opposed. I don't care if what you do for me or not. I've never asked for that. Whatever the board, if you guys want to vote on it and shoot it down, that's your prerogative. I'm good with that. But I just want to make sure that we give a shout out to all the boards and commissions, because we have a lot of people that are working very hard, that are trying to do it for the right reasons, and we need people to get involved in our community. We need people that want to step up for future boards and commissions. So I just say thank you. I know the chairperson, Ms. Bale, she takes it very serious. So does the board, and so do a lot of other boards and commissions out there, police and fire and others that we're trying to make an impact. So if you're serving on one, thank you to this board. But I just want to make that clear. These are people that just care, and they're non-paid positions. So the two options are pretty clear. You either take that recommendation, or by 2/3 you reject that recommendation, and we move on.
That's right. It's up to you. I mean, you don't want it, then that's fine. We will respect your decision, whatever you do. But I do want you to know that we spend an enormous amount of time. We request a lot of information because we try very hard to be very, very fair with everybody. So it's up to you. Anybody have any other questions?
Okay. I would like to say this because there's been thrown around some council members. I mean, you know, if we're gonna be out front, let's be out front. I attended that meeting, and what I addressed the compensation board about was in 2017, the reason I voted no. Because I had never seen where the compensation board come together and split up their decisions. So to say in 2017, mayor, council, mayor, clerk, and treasurer get a raise, but not council. That's why I voted no in 2017. I expressed that when I came before the compensation board. If you read in your minutes, Councilwoman Williams say it is the compensation board decision. So I don't like the fact, don't sit up and just throw names out like we don't know who we're talking about. We're grown, let's be upfront, let's be honest. The reason why I said what I said in 2007 is as I explained it to the compensation board. I wasn't in the dark, I was out in the open, and my final words was whatever the compensation board decision was.
But one of the things that we were concerned about, Mrs. Williams, was the fact that in 2017, after we made our decision, we came before you at a study session. At no time did anybody ever tell us that they felt we were being unfair to the council. This was the first time we were told that they felt we were being unfair, because that was never, never our intent to be unfair to the council. We know how much time you people give to the community. We know how much time you give over and above throughout, and it's very much appreciated. But so it obviously there's some communication errors. We can fix that. We can move forward, and hopefully, and we only meet every 2 years. So next time, I will make sure, if God willing, I'm still alive. I will make sure that you are aware of the meeting, and those of you that can come and be present, we welcome you to come.
And I just want to say, you know, that the viewing audience that's watching and that will watch it later will understand, as you said, the compensation board is set up to do only that.
Right.
Not any other
Just
city
elected.
employees, just the elected officials. So when you
Exactly.
come together every 2 years to make that decision, in 2015 and 2017, and then again just last year. So again, I say, when I make my decision on how I'm voting, I vote based on, you know, what I believe, not based on somebody forcing me to or, you know, coercing me to. So I came before the compensation board and I voiced my opinion. In 2017, I said I was not in agreement with it. I voted no, and I left it as that. And so I don't have anything to hide.
Okay.
Ms. Roscoe, did you?
First of all, I want to compliment the compensation board, because I know it takes a lot of time and a lot of study that you put into this, and your recommendations and your trust in us to do what we're supposed to do. With that being said, I won't vote against this, not because I want a raise, because I already give back. And I'm not saying that to say, hey, you know, this is what I do. But in my opinion, if you feel that, you don't need this raise, or you don't deserve this raise, or you don't want this raise, give it back. And so it's all
Fine.
said and done. This is your opinion, this is your study, this is what your recommendation is, and I don't think that we should go against it as a whole, even though, you know, everybody has their own individual, take on things. But in my viewpoint, I appreciate all your hard work. I'm not gonna go against your recommendations,
Thank you.
and I'll still be giving back my percentages that I give back.
Let me let Ms. Abdo,
Okay.
then I'm gonna come back. Ms. Abdo?
Hi, Carol. As I told you before, I haven't always agreed with the compensation board, but I agree with your decision, your right to make these decisions.
Thank you.
We as council should not interfere in any shape or form. You're an independent council, and I appreciate the work you do.
Thank you.
Ms. Reagan?
And I just want to make it clear, because now that it's all out in the open, so the residents can understand, you know, you done threw out 1,000, you done threw out this, and before you know it, tomorrow when the sun come up, it'll be $1 million. The 2% for council was $198 additional a year.
Right.
$16.40 more a month. So just so the residents, because everything else is on the table, so let's, you know,
That's right.
inform them of what the actual 2% of what, if this passed, what the council will get. $16.40 additional a month, $198 a year. Thank you.
Mr. Wadsworth, did you have something?
Just my final comments are, there was nothing negative towards this board at all, I hope I said. And I don't believe that we, by either charter, by ordinance, we don't negotiate with the board. And when we went back, or whoever went back the second time, it's like they didn't like the first offer, so let's get a better offer. And that's why I'm voting, or I made a motion to reject
Mine,
this.
correct me if I'm wrong, but the council does get $9,900 a year.
Correct.
And we
More than
tried to
enough.
compare that with other communities that were comparable to Romulus's population. So it's not, I mean, you know, you say
And
you're
I
get-
find it
you say
hard.
you're getting $16 a month, it sounds like,
Well, no, I said additional.
right,
I said additional.
I
right.
find it hard to accept anything after this past year when we made our city workers pay more for health care. We taxed our residents, even though they approved the millage for more fire and police. You know, if we have to do those things, you know, maybe we don't need that $198 a year. It's not gonna break any of us. That's why I'm gonna vote to reject it. Not that you folks didn't do a good job.
Ms. Webb?
Okay, finally. Although some people said this, I honestly, I did not want to open up this can of worms. I really didn't. But you know something? I guess I'm gonna have to open it up. Yes, I am voting against the raise, but I want to clarify this with some of my colleagues as well. I'm voting no on these minutes because they are wrong. I did not say this, what was said in the minutes. I said the first paragraph. I was the spokesperson per our Mayor Pro Tem, who has that authority, okay? I went to the mayor and the city attorney. We sat down in his office and we discussed that, and I said what I was told to ask for. But remember, at the meeting, I informed the board, I do not need not one dime from the city. And I'm thankful that I do not. I don't need the raise. I don't need that $16 and, what did you say?
40 cents.
40 cents every month. I don't need that. But I refuse to sit here and say that we are not worthy, as my colleague stated, that it's going, that $16.40 every month is gonna ruin our taxpayers. When our employees, our elected officials, everyone involved with this city. We sat here, our firemen, our police, which we have to have. We are the ones who give to the employees. We are the ones who vote on that. But to stand before this compensation board and be spoken to like it was something, I was an alien, no, I didn't appreciate it. And I still don't appreciate it. Because you don't have to respect me, but at least respect the position, because I won't always be here. So whoever's sitting in this chair, I totally hope that you respect the position. Now, I did not request this $1,000 and then another $1,000 next year. These minutes are totally, totally wrong.
I thought it was $1,000 and then 2%, Mrs. Wood.
No, you want me to read this to you? You asked me, Councilwoman Webb, if a 10% increase was fair and equitable.
Yes, I did.
And my response was, no, 2.5% is the best you're going to get from the board, or I would even want to even ask for the taxpayers. But there should be some type of compensation for the 2 years that council did not get a raise. We were omitted in 2017, and I still don't have the reasoning for that. It's never been split like that. You are the board to all elected officials. And also, I've never tried to tell you what to do. I did not try to negotiate. As a matter of fact, I called the mayor's office to ask if you were even having a meeting. I didn't even know that you were having a meeting. I had not heard that you had already voted on a 2% raise in your previous meetings. I didn't have knowledge of that. So when I was spoken to from the mayor pro tem, and then I spoke with the mayor and the attorney in regards to this, I was out of it. I made that because when I was approached, it was as though I was the only one that would be able to talk to the mayor, and I don't know why, but that's the way that it was. So that's why, and I don't appreciate it being said that somebody on council did this, I am a grown woman. I have been in this community, working in this community for over 40 years. I have supported the police, the firemen, the city employees, every one of them. And I'm not gonna have my name marred behind this. So no, I don't need the 2%. So the taxpayers can rest easy, but at least, and I don't need a bonus. And they can rest easy on that. I tried to ask, I did not want to open this can of worms, but you're not gonna dump this in my lap, not my colleagues or anyone else. Because see, I'm gonna stand up, and I'm gonna stand up for right. Yes, I did say that the board was unfair, and that was 2017, when you did not give the council a raise in 2017, but the previous years, you gave them a dollar amount, but you stated that you've never given a dollar amount, that you only give percentages. But here's the minutes from that meeting in 2015. I believe it's 2015.
Mrs. Webb, I did say that we had given an amount, but it had been distributed monthly.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't just a lump sum, because I was told by the city attorney that we could not give lump sums.
Yeah, but
We could not give you the $1,000.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't want my name out there that I needed the $1,000.
I'm not saying that, Mrs. Webb, at all.
All I said was, and Mr. McAnally asked me if I was representing the entire council, and I said no. And I don't want my colleagues to think, I said, yeah, well, it's in the minutes, they've read it. I said, I'm representing 5, and it was at the time because I got that number from my mayor pro tem. And I never met with the mayor pro tem. I never met with him and the city council,
He's
and
not
the
here
city
to, he's
attorney
not here to
together.
state his side, so it's not fair. He's not here, he's not present tonight, so.
Well, guess who's present? Our city attorney.
Okay.
Mr. Attorney, did you, Mayor Pro Tem, meet with me in regards to the compensation?
Oh, I didn't meet with.
Thank you very much. So, in a way, that's from our city attorney. He did not meet with me and John Barton.
Just to clarify, Madam Chairman, too,
I never
I
said that
didn't
he
meet
did.
with Councilman Webb either. I received a phone call. It came as if I met. I was in a meeting with Steve Hitchcock. My chief of staff came in and said, we have a councilwoman on the phone. And I took that call and put her on the speakerphone, but I didn't have any meetings. I did convey information that Ms. Webb shared with me with Mr. Barden. And you know, he did acknowledge to me that he was gonna be calling council and talking to him. From that point, I offered help to the chairperson if he wanted any correspondence, because this attorney works for you just like he works for me. And at that point, I left it at that. Thank you.
Thank
And I
you.
know, as far as the minutes, I guess to the clerk, if there's question on minutes, don't you record those meetings? So, I mean, we should have an accurate reflection of what was said and what got documented, wouldn't we?
Yes, Mayor Burcroft, that meeting was recorded, so the minutes were taken exactly from that audio recording. So the statements and everything was literally taken from that recorded meeting.
And through the chair, to the clerk, if I said that, I may have left a word out, but I would have never said $1,000 now, 2% next year, and $1,000 next year, and 2%.
I
would have never said that.
never understood you to say that,
No,
Mrs. Webb.
no, but it's in the minutes.
I said you said $1,000 and then
And
2%
and
the next year.
2% next year.
Yes.
That's exactly what I said.
Yes.
But I said that because I was asked to say that. That's what, and that they had the 5 council members. I was taking direction
Okay.
from someone else. But in a way, it's neither here nor there.
Right.
I appreciate what you all do, but I don't want anybody at home to think that I would want to take the taxpayers' money. And that's why I'm voting it down.
Okay. Is everybody done?
I just want to clear this up. As my colleague, Ms. Webb, said, I did get a call from our chairperson concerning this whole issue, concerning the second meeting, because I wasn't aware of the first meeting, and I was asked to appear at the second meeting. So that's how that came about. So I just wanted to make that clear, because you said Mr. Barton wasn't here, and Ms. Webb said it was 5 council
No, I
members.
meant tonight, he wasn't here.
Oh, okay, right.
Right.
But I did get a call, so I'm sure there were other council members that got that
Oh.
same call from Mayor
When
Pro Tem.
didn't Mrs. Bragg send you all packets? I thought she had sent you all a packet.
We
About
did.
our second meeting.
Yeah, we
So
sent-
that you would be aware, so there wouldn't be any confusion about when we were meeting or anything. I thought Mrs. Bragg had sent you
And she
and
did,
emailed
but what
it.
I'm saying is, I received a call before the meeting.
Okay.
So when I received the packet, I already knew about the meeting, but not until I received that call.
Okay. Thank you very
But
much.
thank you, and thank the board for your hard work.
Anybody, any more discussion?
Madam Chair, I just want to just clarify something for Councilwoman Webb. In the minutes, it just says that you spoke with the mayor and city attorney. It doesn't say that you met with them. Also, it does state that you were not, that whole $1,000 plus the 2%. It stated that you were not aware of that in the minutes. You were not aware of the 1,000 plus the 2% in both 2020 and 2021.
That's correct.
So, right, so
That's correct.
that is stated in the minutes.
Yeah, but I don't think, when I read it, it seemed as though I had stated one thing and then came back and said that I wanted, that
No.
it was $1,000 this year and $1,000 next year. Maybe I misread this. Did my colleagues read that?
Yeah, the minutes were pretty clear.
Understanding is, Mrs. Webb, I think where the misunderstanding is that I was initially told that the council was asking for $1,000.
come up here.
I was initially told that the council had been asking for $1,000 and 2%, plus a 2% for this year, and then 1,000 and 2% the next year.
Oh, okay,
So
so
maybe
that's
that's where the
that's where the
confusion is
confusion
coming in.
is.
And that's when I ask you, do you think that a 12% increase is fair?
10% almost fainted.
10, yeah. And that's where that came from, because I was trying to clarify exactly what you were asking for.
Yes, I don't want my colleagues or anyone at home or anyone to even think that I would ask the city to pay me something like that, because I have been worked in this community for over 40 plus years, and I've never asked the city for a dime. And to me, this was just unfair toward me, because I'm not going to have my reputation ruined at the last hour. And thank you so much, Carol.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna close out with my little comment. I'm just throw my little 2 cents in here. And this is no reflection on anybody. This is just for Tina Talley. When I ran for city council, I ran for city council because I just had a heart, and which many of us all do up here, is for a heart for our city. When I found out I was getting some money for it, I was like, for real? This is something I like to do. I like doing this. I like being involved in our community. I like going to all the events. I work a full-time job, but I like going to different events and supporting our city. I like being out here with the residents. I like talking to them, having fun, working together for the good of our community. And so when they told me you're going to get something for it, I was shocked. I was shocked. So I guess I say all that to say that, I take the compensation that was given to me when I came on, but I also found out too that, I give a lot back because, people, you give back to your community. People got things, you got people who needs money, donations for this and that, and it's good. It's all for the sake of our community. So I give it back. And like I said, it's just a bonus to me to be able to say that, I get money for doing something I like to do anyway and that I'm passionate about doing anyway. So I say thank you. I thank you for that. And just to the mayor's point about just all the boards and commissions, I go to a very large church, and one of our biggest things at our church is volunteerism. People that help out, it's the same group of people doing the same thing because, other people don't want to get involved. So you got that 10% of people doing pretty much all the work. So I do, like the mayor was saying, appreciate the people who sit on these boards and commissions, whether you volunteer or whether you may get a little stipend or whatever. Thank you for your service, because a lot of people don't volunteer, and I'm putting a call out for people to come out and volunteer. But for the people who sit on these boards and commissions, thank you. It's huge. It's huge. I worked on the Police, Fire, and Safety Commission before I came on council. I enjoyed that too, though. It's not a job. It's just I enjoy it. And I know most of the people on these boards and commissions do. So thank you again. I just want to thank you. I'm going with the recommendation because, like I say, it's just a treat for me. But most of it, I give back because we have people who want to support our community. So we give it right. A lot of us give it right back anyway. So that's just my little 2 cents. Thank you. So on that note, Mr. Wadsworth, this is for the rejection. And just so we clear, because this has been going on for a while here.
Yes.
So Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Ms. Webb.
To reject, yes.
To reject. Ms. Williams.
No.
Ms. Roscoe.
No.
Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
To reject. Okay. Who I got left?
You.
Me. What we doing? I'm saying I don't wanna.
Do you want the
If you
raise
want
or
to
do you not?
raise,
Do
say
you want the
no.
raise or do you not?
If you want to raise, say no. If you don't want to raise, say yes.
Don't want the raise, say
No.
Maybe we should start over. I didn't
Let's start all over.
Yeah, because you.
Through the
We don't
chair,
have the 5 votes. and we don't-
Ms. Clerk, could we start all over again? Or would you
That's the
verify it
Yeah.
through the chair? Or would you read that?
very simple.
Motion on the floor is to reject the recommendation from the
Okay.
Officers' Compensation Board. If you support that motion, then you will vote yes. If you do
Okay.
not support that motion, you will vote no.
Got it.
So if you don't want to raise, you say yes. If you want the raise, you say no.
If they concur with your motion to reject the recommendation,
Yeah.
you vote
Yes, that's what I said.
Okay.
Yes, you don't want
If
the
you
raise.
do not, it's not
No,
even
you
about
want the
that.
Nothing
raise.
else, just
It's
yes.
the motion on the floor. It's whether or not you agree with the motion on the floor.
You'll get the raise if you say no.
Has it been a
Hold
support?
on, what,
I just wanted to point out to you, it takes 5 votes, and you already
Takes
have
5 votes. Hey,
2
we
no
don't have-
votes, so you, regardless of how you vote, the motion will fail.
But they
Okay.
still need to vote.
we're still gonna go through the process, okay. Okay, so motion by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Webb to reject the officer's compensation report. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Williams? Ms. Roscoe?
No.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
I vote no. Motion?
Fail.
Okay.
We all get the $198.
$16.40
We can always
a
give
week.
it back. That's everyone's prerogative. They are so against what the commission has recommended.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk.
Number 9 is public comment. This is the portion of the agenda for those of you that are in the audience who would like to address city council. The rules to address city council can be found on the back of the meeting agenda. If you would like to address the city council, please raise your hand, and after being acknowledged by the chairperson, we ask that you approach the podium, state your name and address. Please note that you have 3 minutes to speak, and any additional time will be upon the consent of the chairperson. Madam Chair, we do not have any written requests.
Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Charles Miller, St. Aloysius Street. Seeing we're putting our business out in the street here, I'd like to say that I'm the only councilman in the history of the city of Romulus that ever gave their pay back to both charities, food banks, clothing banks. I paid rents for people who were being put in the street. I paid water bills for people who didn't have them because it's public service. But having said that, I don't deny the right for you to be paid. Even the scriptures say that you're worthy of your due. So, having said that, I wanted to say to the mayor and everyone for having put that clock up there, it allows me to speak longer than I generally would because now I know how long I got. So, I noticed a couple of weeks ago, there was quite a large sum of money paid to the Michigan to the Michigan help me out. Thank you, sir. Defense Fund. Now, the city of Romulus, if I'm not mistaken, had received a grant for $50,000 for that purpose. Now, the question I have, number one, is did we exceed the $50,000? And which would have required that the city would pay additional if indeed it had run short. And B, do the other communities share in the grant? And also, if so, do they share in the overrun if there's any? Shall I wait till later, or would you be so kind?
Answer it. The 50,000, you got it backwards here. The 50,000 was the amount that we had historically paid, and we had to continue to pay. We received 340-some thousand from the state of Michigan to fund that.
Okay.
And it's paid based on whoever is the funding unit of the court. So the other communities are not contributing to that. And in other courtrooms, courts around the state, it would depend on whether it's a county court or if it's another court like this one that the local communities are supporting, there would be a funding unit that would have received the grants.
Thanks for the
And then
explanation.
that grant is continuing into the second year now, new grant.
Thank you, sir. Clarified that real well. All in all, have a wonderful new year, everyone. Health to you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Appreciate that. Any more public comments? If no other public comments, we'll close that piece out.
Number 10 is unfinished business.
Oh, Ms. Abdo?
Yes, I'd like to speak concerning the appointment of people to commissions. Moving forward, can we not lump them together as a motion, but make a motion for each individual person?
Sure.
That's all I'm asking, because I think that
Yes.
is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
It's what you were
This
Okay.
is what I
All
had
right, thank you.
requested. Thank you.
Any other unfinished business?
I'd just like to make a comment on that. Whereas that's always a good idea if you decide to break that out, Mr. Mayor. I do think it's the mayor's choice. It's under the mayor's report. I think we can request that of the mayor, but we cannot make that decision as a council.
I took it as a request, and we'll try to accommodate that. Sometimes there's different terms and different positions, and we want to make it clear. We want to give everybody a fair chance. It wasn't done in any way other than just to try to lessen how many motions we have coming before you. So I'll take that in consideration and try to accommodate that.
Thank you.
Just wanted to make that clear.
Yep, no, thank you. I
very much.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Number 11 is new business. Number 12 is communication.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Williams.
Yes. I would just like to know, through administration, have the city decided to create a retirement committee?
A retirement committee for the pre-65?
For the Act 152, because I remember when it was before us on last year, they asked, could we, or could they set up a committee?
Sure, on the pre-65, yeah. There's actually a list of names I know of people interested, and we're in the process of doing that. So, yes, the answer is yes.
Okay, because I'm looking at, that was 7 months ago, we have 5 months to go before it'll come before us. So I really would appreciate it if the administration would, get on board and make contact with these folks so that it's not a big fiasco like it was last year, and that we have plenty enough time to go through all what we need to go through. Because, then I think it should be a study session for, in case you decide to where it's 3 people, 5 people. I think it should be a study session, it should be open to the public. So whether it take 2 or more study sessions, the process should be fair across the board, that you can hear from, the retirees from across the board and not just certain ones.
Sure. First off, no delay on our part. It was trying to get people to participate.
Oh, okay.
So, we wanted to do it right out of the gate. Remember, we did also work on some contracts, which have been before you. So we've had a POAM, POLC, fire just got approved. So all while this is going on, which I don't ever remember in history, an administration and a council getting those accomplishments done and including healthcare for current. And so we're now moving on, also already working on Teamsters along with that non-union. So I'm very proud of the work we've done on contracts. We're very concerned about current employees, retirees, all of it. So we'll be trying to move that forward. No delay on our part whatsoever. We've actually done some awesome work with getting the contracts we did in this short amount of time. And very proud of it. And I think the unions would tell you they did too. And you saw it in the reflection of their vote. Thank you.
And I would just like to respond to that, because I received a email from one of the retirees, and Mr. Lucen, the Human Resource Director, said that they was, first of all, prioritizing the negotiations with the collective bargaining agreement first. And then once they finish with that, then they would get with them. So I'm not for sure, but you said that it wasn't a delay on the administration part.
No, there's not.
But this is the communication that was given to some of the retirees.
Sure. And you ask about getting a list of names, and we're anxious to do that. We want people to participate, and we want their feedback. We want them to understand the big picture, as you do also.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I just wanted to make sure I bring that to your attention, because someone sent it to me, And so I wanted to bring it to your attention and to also let them know if they're at home viewing, your respond, because you know, I don't want to send out the wrong message that you don't care and you're not doing anything, or the council don't care, because the council is the legislative body, and when that vote came before us last year, you know, we all sit and watched how much it affected not only those that had retired, but those that gonna retire. So I just don't wanna wait until the last minute.
So, yeah, and I don't either. In fact, let's clarify what happened last time. They received 2 letters, notifications that I was adamant about, that actually by law, they weren't required. So if there are more people out there that are pre-65 that want to be a part of it, there's no deadline. Send us your information. We'd love to have you be a part of it. And, you know, I think lesson learned from some things last time, and we're going to try to make sure that we're doing everything we can to help both the current employees and the retirees.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Number 13 is adjournment.
So moved.
Support.
Been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Roscoe to adjourn the meeting. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. We are out of here.